All right. Welcome to the study group. Welcome, Chuck.
Thank you, Derek.
Welcome, Kitty. Welcome, everyone at home. And just want to take this opportunity to really thank everybody for taking the time and attention to watch us and to support us. And we know that time and attention is one of the few resources that we as humans have here. So we really value the time and attention that you guys do spend going through this content, because Chuck and myself, we do a lot of work on this. And we just want to thank the Spirit for helping lead us, and for our family for helping support us.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. We learn as we go.
Right.
So we're all
perfect.
We're all learning together here.
Right. So in that feeling of thankfulness, we're going to go and we're going to do our topic on leadership this time. And it's kind of a sexy, trending topic, but the way that we're unfolding leadership is really through the eyes of revelation and through the eyes of Spirit, particularly Jesus, and in representation of how Van led things. And maybe a few of you don't know who Van was, but maybe Chuck, you could just kind of kick us off a little bit. And we got a slide that goes along with what Van's leadership abilities are. Yeah,
let's do that.
Okay.
So the kind of approach we're taking here, if you go online, you can find all kinds of websites that talk about, practicalities of leadership. But we're going to approach this more from a spirit level. It's, where the focus is more on self-mastery as kind of supporting our leadership desires and abilities. So when we look at Van, who was kind of the hero of the rebellion, when the rebellion took place long ago, he grabbed the reins of leadership from our defaulting planetary prince. And they say that his ability to do that and to be successful in that required a whole set of character qualities, which he had in spades. So it's interesting, I think, just to list these. These are from the paragraph from the book where they talk about this. So his these qualities of leadership that enabled Van to pick up reins, as I said, in the middle of a rebellion when everything was absolutely going crazy, and to bring coherence to those who wanted to remain loyal to the Father, which was not easy under those circumstances, involved clear thinking, mm-hmm. Wise reasoning. That's important to always love when the Urantia Book makes lists like this, because there's always the adjective that comes before the thing, right? And the adjectives always have a lot of meaning. So it's not just thinking, but clear thinking, not just reasoning, but wise reasoning, logical judgment, trying to make sense of things, trying to bring coherence, sincere motivation. So that's like at the opposite end of the spectrum from rebellion is sincerity. So sincere motivation, unselfish purpose. So to be filled with a purpose that's beyond oneself. Meanwhile, Caligastia is deifying himself, calling himself the god of Urantia. So here you have Van demonstrating unselfish purpose, where it's not about him. It's about the greater purpose of their mission. Intelligent loyalty, experiential memory. I think that's really interesting, having memories of experiences that apply to the situation. Disciplined character, and unquestioning dedication of his personality to the doing of the will of the Father in paradise. So all of these kind of get summed up in that last one.
Right.
They all lead to the capacity, the enabling of that last one. And that's what overarches everything else and brings that organizing sense of higher purpose, is loyalty to the Father and the Father's will.
Yeah. Leadership, kind of, from my experience, leadership is this authenticity to how the Spirit moves through you. Obviously, we're humans and we can't always discern what's going on with us. Mm-hmm. And none of us are perfect, but the authenticity and the willingness to listen and follow and complete these decisions, complete these visions that you've been given.
Right.
Always complete them.
To make that connection between the inner leading of the Spirit and whatever it takes to manifest that in the world,
right,
as an outer result. That's the challenge.
Right.
And that's where the Spirit teaches us from within, but we also need our own human resources, our own determination, our own willingness to put in time and effort and all of that in order to manifest our visions.
Right. So it seems, as we're getting into this, from my experience of limited leadership experience that I've had throughout my life, it is about actualizing. You are the individual who has the idea, the plan, and now you have actualized it in demonstration so that other people can have the confidence that they can do it.
Right, exactly. And Jesus was that.
Still is.
And still is. Absolutely,
Yeah.
still is.
All right, well, let me get into this first slide here and talk about
Sure
leadership
enough.
here.
Yeah.
So from paper 156, leadership is dependent on natural ability, discretion, willpower, and determination. So this is just kind of like a basic a list of characteristics or traits that you kind of see. But here we're talking about natural ability, but then discretion and willpower and determination. So it's really like this combination of some pretty, I'd say, disciplined skills that you have to acquire here, because discretion, that takes wise thinking,
You're right.
clear thinking and wise reasoning.
Right. Flow into discretion.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
And then this next one, the only real religion of only the real religion of personal spiritual experience can function helpfully and creatively in the present crisis of civilization. So this notion of real religion in personal spiritual experience will help you and all of us in this current challenging situation of the world, because of the helpful creativity that comes through this.
From spirit.
So
Right.
we're looking at leadership and creativity working together.
And within oneself. It's like you can't really lead other people until you can lead yourself. And that has to be authentic, like you're saying.
Great point.
So the challenge, what we're really looking at here, is how to get to that place where you have enough command over yourself that you can receive and act on the inner leading of the Spirit. When you get a vision of possibility, how do you convert that into a project idea, let's say, and then work through the practicalities, the necessities. Maybe you need help. Maybe you need to enlist some other people to work with you, or maybe it'd be a solo thing. But whatever it is, that self-mastery almost has to come first before you can then take it out into the world. So that's where all these spiritual considerations come in, like what they're talking about here in the second quote about the real religion of personal spiritual experience. So that's talking about spirit inspiration from within, and only that, and the way it functions creatively, the way that contributes to our originality and creativity, that's what really helps any crisis, even a crisis in one's own life, let alone the crisis of civilization.
Yeah, it's like this civilization needs newness in order to get through this.
It can't stay the same. Right.
This old stuff isn't working.
Right.
And so it's up to us, our minds, our hearts, and our hands to bring in something new. But that's going to take some courage and some stick-to-itiveness.
And just trial and error, too. Trying. But, as people like to say, how does it go? Things can't be different until you do something different.
Until you do something different. Yeah, if you want things to change, you're going to have to do something you've never done before.
Right, exactly. So that's kind of what we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
How do you find that within yourself, and then how do you enable that?
And with the personality of Jesus, he was representative of something that people have never done before, seen before. So this is giving everybody, hopefully we can do this, is give each other a demonstration of what is possible with spirit.
And determination.
Willpower.
All those qualities.
Yeah. All right, well, let me go into this next one.
Sure.
From paper 140. Jesus wished to develop spiritual insight into eternal realities and to stimulate initiative in the originality of living. So there's still this spirit originality that stimulates and initiates the originality of your own living and everybody else's experience in this world. It's almost like spiritualizing a planet, spiritualizing a people through original creativity from spirit.
Right. So these two essentials, really, of initiative and originality come up numerous times in the book. This is just one place, but they're often mentioned together. It's like you have an original idea that has value and is spirit-led. The only way to make that happen is through initiative, literally, because nobody on the outside knows about it.
Yeah, you're the only one. You're the only one who knows this.
Right.
And it's going to, what do they say? Many great ideas die from not having someone to share them with.
Well, there's that too. Yeah.
So many great visions might die if you don't express them and no one can see them.
They kind of die on the vine. Yeah. So that's why initiative is so important. And that's obviously a crucial leadership quality, is to be able to even to do that in your own life.
Right.
To organize the circumstances and the conditions necessary for the fulfillment of whatever it is that the project demands.
Yeah. It's almost like the leadership role is you're willing to do it even though nobody else is going to do it yet. Maybe they don't see it. Maybe they don't understand it, whatever. It's still in here, whatever, but you're going to do it.
Right. And we all have that potential.
Right.
We all have spirit within us. We can each have our own good idea.
Right.
About something.
And we're asked to fulfill that.
Yeah, exactly.
To complete it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the second one below it, mind and spirit, when fully united, are potential for the creation of superhuman values, even Urantia realities. So we were talking about before how mixing the mental and the spiritual creates Urantia. So here we have mind and spirit, and if we can unite them, then we have some potentials that make us freaking superhuman. I mean, come on. We literally have spirit in us that make us superhuman. Everyone's watching Marvel superheroes, and you got spirit inside you.
Right. Absolutely. Which can show you and guide you and inspire you and lead you in directions that nobody's ever thought of before. And it's exciting to feel like you've got incoming. That's from a higher place, that's related to a bigger purpose. That's even maybe bigger than we even understand. But be part of, kind of the big project, the cosmic project, the supreme, or however you want to think about that, to have the role to play in that's bigger than oneself is so satisfying because it takes, it puts the value of the individual on a higher plane.
Yeah, I feel that. I think like in our society and the ways of the world, it's so like the individual on a material plane better than everybody else is the goal to be number one, where everyone else is thwarted.
You got more stuff.
Yeah, more things, more smarts, more skills, more looks, whatever it is.
Right.
But when we look at a reality in Jesus's way of leadership, he's seeing the potentials, and in his demonstration, he's inspiring, but also applying spiritual pressure from above to inspire soul growth on his crew. Because he knows his crew needs to be powerful. And we got to bring new things that have never been on this planet before.
And part of that is a higher quality of love.
Right.
So Jesus was a love demonstrator among everything else. I mean, that really is the sort of the core of the whole thing.
Right.
Is to discover and express and develop new qualities of love, greater love. And that's what uplifts relationships. It uplifts our sense of purpose. Everything kind of coheres in love.
And shall we say love acts?
And then love acts.
Love doesn't sit on the couch and philosophize.
It's not
love
just a sentimental morass of longing.
It's a verb. Work it out. Okay, well, you got some quotes here.
All righty. Let me go to this one. Okay, this is related to what we were just talking about from paper 34. The spirit never drives, only leads. So it's like there's always an invitation being presented from within. And then the spirit of truth kind of is almost synergistic with that. The inner leading and then the presence.
It's the conviction of it.
You're right. You feel the truth within, then you really feel the conviction of that truth in relation to Jesus, because he's like our brother. He's our father, but he's also our brother. He's been human. We feel him by our side. And, if we can get that yes from him, while we're also getting inspired from within, that becomes very powerful.
Then you're gaining agency over this.
Right. Yeah. Then your human will can function in a way that's beyond maybe ways it's ever functioned before, at least in relation to that purpose or project. So this idea of always being invited by Spirit, sort of like, okay, or like Jesus would say, follow me, right? And to kind of take that in and what that means. And
that's him still saying that.
It's still saying that in its fullness. Follow me. I'll show you the way.
Yeah. Here you go. This is it.
Yeah.
Follow this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Jesus. We love you.
And then to put that in a bigger context, kind of like the last pair of quotes, then we have from paper 111, the advances of true civilization are all born in this inner world of mankind. It is only the inner life that is truly creative. So that's pretty profound realization to think about, because it's so easy to become just outer reactive. That whatever we see outside of us, other people's opinions, opportunities, maybe disappointments, difficulties, those are all real, but that's not where the new ideas are born.
Right.
They're only born within. And to open the mind to the influence of Spirit, then those can be Spirit-led ideas. So that's what they're, really talking. In other words, bring higher values, new values, because Spirit is always about values.
Yeah.
So to have new value insights.
Right. Yeah. Increased values. I appreciate that you touched on not allowing the external to be this motivation.
The all-defining influence,
the inner creativity, and that Spirit is the most creative thing that we can possibly be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And creative is new and original. And it's coming from the well, as we just talked about, the well that's coming through here, through your heart, from God, through thought adjustment.
The living water that springs up eternally.
And there's a parched earth and a parched people that need the soul refreshing water that comes from the well of your heart from God. And we're all asked to share that water. And it's all original to us, to each one of us. That's a cool thing.
And that's why it's so authentic.
Yeah.
Not only does it feel authentic, it is authentic, because we are the author of that.
Right.
And in partnership with God, the originality of the nature of God flowing through that.
Right on. Let's read this
All
next
right.
one.
So we got one more here. It is the mission of religion to prepare man for bravely, even heroically, facing the vicissitudes of life. True religion must act. So here we have an acknowledgement that life includes vicissitudes. That we're, the more interesting and challenging and valuable the thing you're trying to do, probably the harder it's going to be to do. And maybe maybe the more resistance you're likely to encounter as you attempt to manifest.
He's going to walk on your keyboard.
He's walking all over my keyboard.
He's manifesting his own.
No, I don't want to open system preferences.
No, but I do appreciate the level of action, because if you don't take action, there's nothing for Spirit to work with.
Right. You
could be angry and just be all silent mode and not express what is in you. And then there's nothing to work with. There's nothing to work with. Like, our actions and expressions create a canvas for the angels to work on.
Yeah. I'm glad you're mentioning the angels.
Yeah.
Like the seraphic planetary government, there's subdivisions of interest and responsibility in terms of human affairs. And we can learn about that and then almost enlist.
Oh, you better enlist.
Right.
We need all the help we can get. Enlist.
Pick our angelic team to work with, depending on our interests and what we hope to do.
Yeah, I always say, go deep in your heart and find your God-given abilities and your acquired skills, and then pray to the Father as, how can I practically apply this into a service venture?
Right.
And then pray to the angels and validate that. Say this conviction that, this is consecrated.
Yeah. And
I want to work with you.
And get verbal about it.
Yeah. Say it out loud.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Assess. Make assessments.
It's kind of like never telling somebody you love them. But then that's one way of saying you love them, because it's like, oh man, that person died. I never said I love them. But then there's showing them that you love them.
Right.
Actually showing up, stepping up, and having that demonstration of love. And that's just what you're talking about. Jesus was this demonstration of love.
He was, indeed.
And so you got to be there.
All the way to the end.
You can't just agree. you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So acting is where our will, our decisions, our choices, our desires, all of that get focused are in the actions we take. And there's a progression through all of this too. I think it's important to remember this isn't just like here I am, now I'm over here, now I'm done. You know what I mean? There's always, that's the thing about living in this universe, is that there's always a growing future that manifests. I mean, the future blooms from what's been achieved in the past and the present.
Each actualization creates new potentials.
Right. Each actual creates new potentials. Right. And there's a flow to reality that's universal, as I understand it. And that's how it works.
Yeah.
So that's why this leadership thing is so important, because that's what creates the continuity through that process.
So as we go through this, as we kind of say goodbye, we're looking at leadership as an inward guidance from spirit, a leader. The spirit is leading, and then that individual can grab it, grasp conviction of it, and actualize it into material reality. And new potentials then grow from that originality that has been creatively shared.
And through self-mastery, take leadership of oneself kind of first. And then that has a very attractive quality. If you have good ideas, people are going to want to help, or they're going to want to include you, or whatever. I mean, there's a connectivity potential in truth. They say truth can be acted out. So this is kind of an example of how that works.
Right. And don't get down on yourself if you're not here yet. If you're still looking for permission, or if you're still looking for external inspiration.
Right.
But get your mind focused on, this is where the path that we need to get to and get going on.
Right. And it kind of matches up with what the Urantia Book talks about as the third circle.
Right.
The third circle.
Self-actualization.
Third circle is when you really begin to self-actualize. You really begin to take command of your life and initiate originality. So that's the interim goal, I think, for all of us in a way, in terms of our self-development. And that's what also gives us a bridge to the next life in 3 days.
Self/soul development.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
many incentives.
We've got a lot to do, and we need more and more leaders. And perhaps this gave you everybody a different perspective on what it means to lead. It's not the traditional physical might makes right way.
Right.
And that we're now allowing the spirit to lead.
Right.
And I pray that you all have the wisdom and strength and self-mastery to grab that leading and turn it into something beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah. And cooperation is a big part of that, learning to work with others.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you guys show up for God.
Yeah.
And just start leading and enjoying life. You too, Kitty.
Yeah. He's all over it.
All right. Well, thanks you guys again.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Chuck. Great work.
Thanks for checking this out. We'll see you next time.
All right. God bless.